1,000 days sober. Okay, first confession, I'm not exactly 1,000 days sober today. I'm actually 1,252 days sober today. But the reason I'm making this video is because a couple of things happened in the last couple of weeks. When I first got the idea for this video, YouTube recommended a video on my homepage of a guy who'd done 60 days sober. And it got me thinking about, we have these milestones in recovery. 1,000 days is obviously a big one. I'm 3 and a bit years, so it's 1,252 days. But yeah, then I was listening to another guy talk, and he was saying how in the early days he couldn't even imagine being a week sober. And I remember being in that place. I remember thinking, how on earth do I do a day, an hour? How on earth do I not have a drink tonight and then not have a drink tomorrow night and then not have a drink this weekend? How do I chill out in the evening? It was like 1,000 days was pie in the sky stuff. It was like, I didn't care about being 1,000 days. I didn't care about being 3 years and a bit sober. I didn't care about months. I was just like, how do I get through today? How do I get through this weekend? Then there's the slightly longer term thoughts. How am I what's gonna happen if I go to a party, or if I go to a restaurant, or what's gonna happen on my birthday? What might happen at big things like weddings, funerals, or my wedding if I get married? We have to set ourselves goals in recovery. And when you're in the early days, someone saying, I made it to 60 days could be like, that's a big goal. Yes, I'm going to find it hard to get through today and this weekend, but can I do 2 months? The thought of being long-term sober is completely different to the idea of getting sober and stopping drinking in the short term. So we have to set our goals. I feel bad I didn't even watch that video for 60 days sober, because I said for me that's not an issue. If someone put a video up that was 10 years sober, I'd maybe watch that, because for me, I'd be thinking, okay, I've made it to 3 years, I feel comfortable. But in the next 6 years, what's going to come up? Am I going to start having wobbles? Am I going to start doubting my program, my routine, my way of life? Am I going to start having moments where I go, you know what, I've had a long time sober and I think I can try drinking again? That dreaded thought. Am I going to start thinking that I'm recovered? And this is a touchy subject. I didn't mean to go there or here, but the term recovered or not recovered or what have you, it's down to individuals. If you've got a different meaning, great. I really don't care. AA people have this thing about saying they've recovered from the hopeless state of body and mind. That's one definition. My definition of it is that I'm not in danger anymore. I don't feel I'm at risk. I don't get triggered. But I'm 99.9% sure that if I tried to have a drink now, it would go downhill. It would be, I've said this before, it would be, I just had a drink and the world didn't end. And then a couple of weeks later, I go, I had a drink and the world didn't end. I'm going to try having another drink. I'm going to try having 2 drinks this time, see if the world ends. And the world doesn't end. Because the world doesn't end after 2 drinks. The world ends when you start having 2 drinks, 3 drinks, 4 drinks, 5 drinks. You start pushing your limit to the point where you start getting drunk. You start having hangovers. You start having after effects. You start having effects during the drinking sessions. And it's the gradual slippery slope. You know, I've talked about my different relapses where sometimes it was that gradual. I'll try having a drink at the pub. Next time, a couple more drinks at the pub. Before I know it, I'm going to have a couple of drinks at the pub with my friends. I'm going home, I'm buying some beers or vodka to have on the couch before I go to bed. The horrible cycle starts again. So what are my targets? My targets are not 1,000 days or 10 years. 10,000 days, whatever. My targets now are continuing to live a productive, happy, carefree life. And remembering, probably forever, that I can't go back to drinking. Whether something traumatic happens and I, fall off the wagon spectacularly, or whether it's a little temptation that gradually creeps in, I'm 99.9% sure that that will lead me down a horrible path that will end up with hospitalisation, losing my job, life gradually crumbling around me. So if you're sat there thinking, wow, 1,000 days, that's amazing. Think, what are your targets? Where are you in your recovery? Are you still in those very early days where 1,000 days seems like 1,000,000 days? It doesn't matter, because at the moment, anything past 7 days is too much. So go watch that video of the guy who said, I've got to 60 days. See how he got through it. See the ups and downs in that very short time frame. But for me, at 1,000 days, I was going to talk about all the things I've achieved, but I don't need to. That's not what matters. For me, at this stage now, it's the fact that I'm comfortable without a drink. I don't think I'll ever need another drink. I've talked about some of the things that have happened to me in this period of sobriety that haven't made me pick up a drink. So for me, it's about continuing like this for as long as I shall live. So if you clicked on it because you thought 1,000 days was great, thank you very much. Let me know your thoughts. Clicky stuff, all that. But for now, bye.